Today, we're going to talk about the film House. It's basically the Amityville horror on magic mushrooms and crystal meth and a little bit of crack. Oi, pass me my fucking bong.
House from 1985 is a cult classic comedy horror directed by Steve Miner. In this story, struggling novelist Roger Cobb receives the terrible news that his aunt has killed herself, but there's an upside to this tragedy. You see, now her huge, weird as hell house belongs to him. Declining to sell the property, Roger moves in to get the creative juices flowing again so he can write his next novel. And I'll give you one guess where that bright idea leads to.
Now, in this modern day and age, sort of horror has become a bit of a mixed bag really for me. And by that, what I mean is that nowadays horror is mostly shit.
Come on, don't give me that bollocks that Annabelle Creation and A Quiet Place scared the shit out of you, because I know they fucking didn't.
For me, horror is all about psychological torment and something that stays with you. I want to be lying in bed after watching a horror film with all the lights on, wearing a nappy in case I shit myself, with something soft like DuckTales playing in the background to soothe the inner fear. Now, House is a film that understands this subliminal desire, and despite it being a self-aware, batshit crazy horror film, it still attempts to attack that authentic spooky suspense angle. Now, you see, this film House is kind of like that eccentric kid at school who all the bullies pick on, but are kind of secretly a little bit afraid of what they might do if they push that person too far. This is simply a film that embraces its bizarreness openly and pretty much just says to you, look, I know I'm Evil Dead's shitty low-budget cousin, and I'm okay with ripping off a few Stephen King novels. I don't give a shit, and you're gonna fucking love me for it, or I'll kill you.
Now, wacky comedy horror style aside, we all know it's essential to have a protagonist we can all root for who drives the plot forward. And William Catter's Roger does this to perfection. He's a failure as a dad, husband, neighbour, and his writing career is on the rocks. That aside though, he also has important strengths, one of which is his splendid wardrobe of clothes, especially this sweater here. The other is that the guy is so purposely unresponsive to evil attacks. It has the ghosts and ghouls wondering what it'll actually take to finish him off. I mean, for example, something horrific will attack him, and then literally 5 minutes later, good old Roger's downstairs just cooking his tea, not giving a fuck. It's this type of quirky, unpredictable character that makes these types of films impossible not to watch.
When I was at university studying to be a movie star,
Whilst pretending that the stage was my first love, like all you other bullshitting actors do.
I often got cast in these little kind of shitty side roles that I'd always end up complaining about. Wuthering Heights, Adam, you're the milkmaid. Of Mice and Men, Adam, you're the guy who cleans the boat down the side of the river that no one ever really sees his face. My tutor used to feed me all sorts of shit like, there are no small roles, just small actors. And we all know that this is absolute bollocks. However, I will give credit to the actors in this film with smaller roles because they actually live and breathe this advice. Everyone in this movie has got a quirk to them. No one is boring in any way. I mean, we're talking about neighbours who just turn up to your bedroom when you're about to masturbate, smoking hot women who use your swimming pool without asking permission, and coppers who respond to 911 calls in literally under 30 seconds. All of them are fantastic, and all of them, of course, big Roger Cobb fans. Though for some reason, none of them actually recognise him until he says his name. It's not criticism, just a simple observation. Then again, when you think about it, you didn't have Google plastering authors' faces all over the internet.
Now, as fantastic as the supporting cast are, the monsters are even better. And I mean, we are talking old school practical effects and rubber suits here. There's not a sniff of shitty CGI anywhere. To be fair, it is 30 odd years old, so some people might think these monsters are a bit funny to some degree, but at the same time, the filmmakers just know that this is the case and they still managed to balance the fear factor perfectly. You know, rather than just being throwaway brain dead monsters, at times these things also play some smart moves in their supernatural chess game against Roger. There's this one particular monster here that looks like Miss Piggy when she had a bad case of syphilis and Norwegian scabies that spread all over it, and she steals the show for me. And along the way you'll also find out that this perfectly maintained house also has more layers to it than you may expect, and these bizarre apparitions, well, they're much more closely linked to Roger Cobb than even he ever imagined.
So all in all, House is a must-see comedy horror that has divided audiences since the day it came out, and probably will until the day that hell opens up, swallows us all, and shits us back out again. We'd strongly recommend that you watch this, especially if you're fans of things like The Evil Dead. But with this recommendation comes a small plea. If you haven't seen House before and you are going to watch it, then watch it on your own, in your own house, at night with all the lights off. I'm sick of seeing these people that watch horror films with their 10 fucking mates in broad daylight and then come up to you next day and go, it wasn't fucking scary. I've got your fucking number, so pack it in.
Off you go.